Hello. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a topside structural and cosmetic inspection on a two-door vehicle. The first thing we want to start with is an initial walk around of the vehicle. Let's take a look at the vehicle. Let's look for any damage, any signs of prior repair. About 5-6 feet away. It's called addressing the car. Just trying to get a general impression of the vehicle. Alright, once we've taken a look at the vehicle, the next thing we want to do is start evaluating for paintwork. Now the way that we do this, the first thing we do is we go around it with our senses, our hands and our eyes. What I like to do is I like to grab a hold of edges of the vehicle. And it should feel very smooth. That edge should feel smooth. It shouldn't be rough. I like to equate it when it's painted almost to a fine piece of sandpaper. You can almost feel a drag on it. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at, I'm going to start with the hood and bumper. I want to take a look at this hood. I'm looking at the finish. I'm looking for any imperfections. I'm looking at the bumper. I'm using the light to kind of move through and look for any dust that might be in the paint, any imperfections that might be in the paint of the bumper. Feel your edges. Up in here, you could have, it could be dry, where the clear didn't lay out flat. Just kind of a dryness up in these areas, but feel that, look for any imperfections through here. Again, the hood, feel these edges. Edges tell a great story. So we look through here. I'm even going to pop the hood. A good thing to do is take a look at your hood bolts, where the hinges come into the hood right here. Are they turned? If they're turned, it could be a good indicator that the hood has been off or adjusted for some reason. These hood bolts aren't turned, which is a good sign. Take a look up here. The stickers. Are the stickers in place? Are the bolts turned on the hood latch? Good indicator of replacement and repair. More likely replacement when these bolts are turned, because they probably changed out this latch to another hood. Now, while I've got this open, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the fenders too. So feel your edges. Do they feel smooth? I like to equate it to an ice cube without the coldness right around these edges here and up here by the windshield. Okay? I take a look at the fender, look for any imperfections, any sanding scratches, any fisheye, which is separation of the clear or the base coat due to silicone substances sitting on the panel. In other words, it wasn't prepped correctly. All right, another thing we look at on these fenders, take a look here. See these bolts? Are these bolts turned? They're not on this vehicle. They're not turned here either. Feel free to pull this stripping back and take a look at the valley. This is called the valley of the fender. Does it match the other side? It should. All right? Once I'm comfortable with the fender, whether it has paintwork or it doesn't, I move to the door. And once I get to this door, again, I'm feeling the edges. Your hands can help you a lot once you get the feel for this. But feel the edges. Take a look at the seam sealer. The seam sealer right here. This seam sealer is where they put the skin of the door onto the frame of the door, and it seals it up. So look right here. Does that match the other side? Does it look factory? Does it look uniform? Look all through there. And we come here and let's take a look at the finish of the door. Do we have any imperfections, sanding scratches, dirt or dust that might be in the paint? Take a look at it. The edges all feel good on this door. The seam sealer looks good on this door, and the finish looks really good on this door. All right, so I'm comfortable with this door that it doesn't have any paintwork. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to move to the quarter panel. And again, I'm feeling edges on the quarter panel. I'm feeling for tape lines. I'm looking for sanding scratches. This is a great place to feel on a quarter panel up next to the rear window. Normally, if it's painted, that'll be really rough because they don't wrap this edge right around here very well. So feel that. Look for any imperfections in this paint. Quarter panel looks good. I don't see any damage. So I'm going to move on to my deck lid and rear bumper. Okay, my deck lid. Again, I'm going to feel my edges. Edges feel smooth as can be. Very consistent with the rest of the vehicle. I'm pulling the deck lid up. And again, I'm going to look at the back side. Do I have any turn bolts on the hinges? I don't on this vehicle. Look very good. While I've got this open, these are the valleys of the trunk. Take a look at your quarter panel here. These are factory spot welds. Those little dimples, those are factory spot welds. Right here, and here, all the way up. And they mimic the other side. They're identical. So that's a very good sign. So I've got smooth edges. I don't have any turn bolts. All spot welds look like they're in place. This car is looking good so far. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna move to the other quarter panel. I felt the edge. I'm feeling up here by the window. I'm looking for any imperfections. I'm looking at the rear bumper also as I'm back here. I'm moving through. Bumpers are plastic. They're a little bit tougher. We're gonna get into metering here in a few minutes. You can't meter plastic. So it's pretty much all your senses, your sight and your touch. We're gonna get into those a little bit more in detail as we move around the vehicle. So I'm here on the quarter panel. I'm feeling edges. I'm looking for imperfections. Anywhere I can feel an edge, let's feel for roughness. It should be smooth, like an ice cube. Quarter looks good. I'm moving to this door. Looking for any imperfections as I'm doing that, I'm feeling the edges. The edges feel really smooth. And again, the seam sealer. How's the seam sealer look here? Very consistent with the other side. It looks factory to me. Machine laid seam sealer. Edges feel good. Finish is perfect. Okay, quarter panel looks good. The door looks good. This car is looking real good so far. Then we'll move to the fender. As you can see, we're working our way around the vehicle. The object of this is to end where you started. So I'm going to end up at this hood. So this fender, again, I'm grabbing the edge. I'm looking at the finish. I'm looking at my valley. Finish looks good. I'm also looking at the corner of the bumper while I'm here. Feeling edges, looking for any dryness in here, any roughness on these edges, and I just don't feel it. Edges on the fender feel good. The valley. I want to get into the valley of this fender. Bolts, are they turned? They're not. Okay, a good thing to look at in comparison on a vehicle, your best friend out in the field is comparison. Okay, so if you look at the valley of this fender, it's dull compared to the outside of the car. Now if I were to walk over to this fender and the valley of this fender was shiny, that's telling me something's different, something's going on. So that's a clue, and that's what this is about, putting all the clues together and making the right call. Okay, so once we've evaluated with our senses, this is probably the most important part of the inspection. This is what makes you better. This is what fine-tunes you into looking at a car and not just relying on a meter, which I'm getting ready to show you what we do with a meter. So what I want to do is shut my hood. Okay. This is a mill gauge or a paint meter. What this does is measure thickness of paint down to the metal. And two types of metal you can have on a vehicle are steel and aluminum. So what I want to do is I want to establish what we call a baseline. What is the factory thickness of this paint? So I'm going to start on somewhere that I know is factory paint on the vehicle, and that's the hood. So 5.0, that's 5 mils thick. 4.5, 5.0, 4.5, 5.0. Very consistent. And let me show you something real quick, just so you know the measuring capabilities of this device. So if I stick this right here, I've got 4.5. And then I stick a dollar bill right here, 7.5. A dollar bill is 3 mils thick. So your baseline if you're within 1.5 to 2 mils of baseline around the car, you're normally pretty good. All right, so the fender, 4.0, 4.5, 5.5, 5.0, 4.0, 3.5. What I'm doing now is confirming my thoughts. I don't think this car has any paint work. And all I'm doing, this is an aid, this is a tool. I'm going around and double checking what I came up with. And so far, I'm spot on. 5.5. You want to cover the panel that you're metering in several different meter spots. This is anywhere from a 4.5 to a 5.5. That's good. 4.5. 4 to 5. I want to get the roof as well. 5.0. 4.5. 5.0. 5.0. 5.0. Okay, I'm coming back to the deck width. 5.0. 5.5. 5.0. 5.0. 5.0. Okay, while we're back here, let's take a second look at this rear bumper. I'm moving the light from the sky around in the finish of this. I'm looking for any imperfections in it. I didn't feel anything that would indicate it had been repainted. So I'm just moving reflections around in it, looking for any imperfections that might tell me, hey, this is not a factory bumper. Another thing you can look at is right here. Take a look at these edges again. Feel these edges. Are they smooth? Is there a tight peel around the edges where they might not have gotten the clear coat to flow out? So take a look at that. I don't see anything on this bumper. I think it's 100% factory. Okay, moving to this quarter panel. 4.5. 6.0. That was okay. 6.0. That's all right. We're within 2 mils of my baseline. 4.5. 5.0. 4.5. 4.5. 4.5. Again, I want to do this side of the roof. 5.0. 4.5. 5.5. 5.0. All right, we're looking real good. 5.0. 5.0. 5.0. 4.5. 4.5. 5.0. Now we're on the fender. 4.5. 4.5. 4.5. 4.5. And a 4.0. This car looks real good. I don't see any paint work. I don't see any existing damage on this vehicle. And this vehicle could have accident history. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the structural analysis of the car. And where I like to start is under hood. Okay, we're going to move sequentially around this vehicle, topside structural, and I'm going to go through it step by step. The first thing we want to do is open the hood. Okay. Secure it. Now what we want to do here is look at our core support. Your core support is what runs from your aprons, one side apron, over to the other side apron. The radiator is housed within this core support. Now, what I'm noticing here is that this is a bolt-on core support. It's bolt-on to these aprons, all right? The aprons, the black thing being the core support, this is an apron right here. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at this. I want to look all around. Do I have any existing damage? Do I have any signs of repair on this core support? And I'm going to flow right around this vehicle. I'm looking at aprons. I'm looking at brackets. Here's a bracket coming off of the apron. This is a great sign right here. You see these factory spot welds right here? That's a good sign. And I've got them on both sides of this apron, which is a real good sign. So I'm inspecting this apron, flowing back into the strut tower. I always want to look at my strut tower bolts. Do they look turned? Do these holes here look like they've been oblonged at all where they can move this strut around? They don't. Very consistent. Look for any sort of seam sealer. If I pull this back a little bit, I can see more spot welds. Seam sealer is almost like caulking. It seals up joints. We haven't run across any yet, but we will. But again, look at the Look at the factory spot welds. Spot welds tell a story. A car is made up of spot welds. So let's look at those real good. And remember, your best friend out here is comparison, side to side. All right, flowing around, the firewall on this car is real hard to see due to components and insulation. So I'm gonna come by that. If the firewall was open, I would inspect it for any sort of damage, any sort of drilled holes, anything that might not be factory. Because if a hole's drilled in it, it is damaged, whether they meant to do it or not. Okay, so flowing this way, I'm back to the left side apron. Again, I'm looking at the apron for any deflections, any damage. I'm looking for these factory spot welds that I saw on the other side, and there they are. All along here. They're right here. The strut tower. Looking at my bolts. Okay. Right here, spot welds, apron flowing down. I see no damage, no signs of repair. A good sign of repair up underneath the hood, look for overspray on wires, turn bolts. If you're looking at a 10-year-old car and you see some brand new shiny bolts sitting in a certain area, that may be an indicator that there's some repair going on right there. But definitely look for overspray on components. This stuff is hard to remove out of here, and a lot of times the body shop will try to repair it with the components still in place. So take a look at that. Now I'm flowing back into my core support, apron bracket. Bolts look good, they don't look turned. I don't see any damage. Looking behind it, I don't see any damage at all. Again, I'm looking at my apron, spot welds look good. You can never check too much. Don't be afraid to go back. If you think you missed something, go back. All right? Underhood panels, remove them. Do not be afraid to remove underhood panels. They consist of these clips. I left this on so you can see this. These clips, they pop out with a clip puller or a flathead screwdriver and pull that cover right off. You get a great view of your core support, your extensions, your reinforcement. Look at everything you can. Okay? All right, once we're feel good about the underhood structural analysis, let's shut the hood. Okay, we're done here. Now what we're going to move to is door opening. Now we're on a two-door car today, so our pillar arrangement is a little different. On this vehicle, we've got an A pillar here, and we've got a C pillar here. Okay. This is our outer rocker and sill, side sill, flat sill, right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside this, and I'm actually going to use my meter in here. First, I'm going to evaluate it. I'm going to look at door hinge bolts, any signs of anything being turned that might indicate repair on this pillar. I'm going to look at the pillar itself for any imperfections. I'm going to look at the rocker, flat sill, side sill, for any imperfections, any signs of repair. And I'm going to flow right up through the C pillar. Are there any signs of imperfections or repair? Now, one thing that we always do, and this is how we check for a replaced quarter panel, when they replace the quarter panel, they normally cut it here, they'll cut it down here, and break this weld flange that I'm getting ready to show you. So what we want to do is we want to pull this weld flange back. And remember, cars are made up of spot welds. So as I'm looking in here, sure enough, there they are, the factory spot welds, right through here. A lot of times when a quarter panel is replaced, those spot welds will be absent. They're not there. They've tack welded them, tack welded the quarter panel, they've grinded it down, and then put mud on it, and it's smooth. So look for that. The next step I want to do is I'm going to take my meter. Now normally jams meter lower than the outside of the car. That's the norm. Let's take a look, see how this is. There we go, 2.5. Remember, the outside of our vehicle was around a 4.5. 3.0, 3.0, 2.5, 3.0, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Get into my side sill. 3.0, 2.5, 2.5, 2.0, 2.0, 2.5, 2.5, and a 2.5. very consistent. I see no damage, no sign of repair, and my meter is spot on in these jams, very consistent. I'm comfortable that there's no repair or damage in this door opening, so I'll shut the door. Okay, just to recap. So number one, under hood, structural. Number two, structural area, door opening. If this was a four-door car, we would have a B pillar here, which we'll get into later. I feel good, I shut the door. Number three, trunk opening. So the first thing I want to do, again, is I want to come in here, take a look at your valleys again. Like I said, you can never go back too many times. Take a look at your valleys. Do your valleys look good? Are they consistent with each other? Are the spot welds in place? Sometimes you'll have seam sealer around here. Does the seam sealer match? Okay. So now I'm going to dive into the trunk area. Now what we're concerned about in the trunk area, we're concerned about the trunk pan, the rear body panel, and the wheelhouses. Okay. So what I'm going to do is first off is lift this. Now this is down here, this is a trunk pan. This area through here is our trunk pan. Feel free to lift any of this covering up, and I said we'd get into seam sealer a little bit later. Well, there some is right there. This right here is seam sealer. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to inspect this for any sort of damage or signs of repair, and when I get to the other side, I'm going to compare that seam sealer. Okay. Now you've got two types of seam sealer, machine laid and hand laid. That there looks to be machine laid to me. Okay. Now while I'm here, I'm going to look at my rear body panel, which connects to the trunk pan. Get a shot of this right here. And again, you see this seam sealer in here, very consistent. Does that rear body panel have any sign of repair or replacement? Okay, I'm going to move to the other side. I'm going to look from this way. I'm going to look at my rear body panel again. My seam sealer, very consistent. I'm going to pull that up, and we've got our seam sealer again. Okay. Now, once I'm here, normally you would pull all of this out of this vehicle. This is a little tough right here. You've got to unbolt a speaker and some other components, but my wheelhouse. So I'll drop this down. I'm going to pull this back. This is my wheelhouse, or my wheel well. Look at it. Look at the seam sealer. Is the color of the wheelhouse consistent with the trunk pan, rear body panel? Does the seam sealer match? It does. I see no signs of damage, prior repair, and I would do the same on the other side wheelhouse. Once I'm comfortable with this trunk area, and feel free, don't be afraid to pull all of this liner out. Do it. It's only going to help you see more. I feel very comfortable with this vehicle because I don't have any repair so far. I don't have any damage, any paint work, nothing. So I feel very comfortable with this vehicle. So once I'm done with this, number three of the top side structural, I'm going to shut it. Then I'm going to move to this door opening. All right, and again, what do we have here? We've got a C pillar and an A pillar. Visually, I'm going to take a look for any signs of deflection. Maybe a seat belt got stuck in here and got slammed into the door and created some damage. That is damage. It's incidental damage, but it is damage. So I'm going to do a visual inspection. I'm going to look through this, any signs of repair, existing damage, all the way through. Look at my bolts on the hinges. They look good. They have not been turned. And again, I'm going to pull my weld flange to look for those factory spot welds. And there they are. Once that's done, I'll put that back. And again, I'm going to take out my meter and I'm going to meter my jam for consistency. This is one thing you can never miss. Never forget to meter your jams, very important. If I had filler or Bondo in here, this reading would shoot way up. Could be 10, could be 15, could be 20. 3.0, 3.5, 2.5, 2.0, 2.5, 2.0, 2.0, 2.0, 2.5, 2.5. Very consistent in the door openings. Once I'm comfortable that the door openings, the underhood, and the trunk area are free from existing damage or repair, I shut the door. Now it's time to take the pictures, look at your VIN, verify your mileage, and put your report together.